Mesdames, Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, accueillons, please welcome, votre animateur préféré, your favorite host, Shaun Starr.
Super Bowl 56 is here. We finally made it, Gerry. Another NFL's regular season is in the books. So welcome to Out of the Car with Starr. I'm Shaun Starr with Gerry B, the Prop King. Been waiting for this. It felt like a long 2 weeks, man, between the Championship Sunday showcase and, of course, here we are at SoFi Stadium. I wish we were at SoFi Stadium. They're at SoFi Stadium. The LA Rams hosting as 4.5-point favorites, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. So let's get into this, man. Like, what do you think is going to be the matchup, Gerry, that separates the winner from the loser? Where's this game going to be won?
Well, right away, I think you have to look at the front line of or the pass rush of the Los Angeles Rams versus the Bengals offensive line. I mean, you could go back to the Titans game and see that they allowed 9 sacks. But I think it's going to be a possession game. It's whoever holds the ball the longest, because these two teams are capable of having big plays. But I think it's whoever controls the ball the longest who will come out victorious, let's say.
Yeah, what about the path, the respective path for each team to the Super Bowl? Is there one side, Cincinnati, going through the Raiders, winning on the road at Arrowhead, certainly in an AFC Championship game showcase? Obviously, looking at how the LA Rams handled their business, preventing Tom Brady and the Bucs from that crazy comeback in the second half. Whose team impressed you to the run to the Super Bowl the most?
I mean, Los Angeles was the most consistent, but Cincinnati, they just surprised everybody every time. I didn't pick them to make it this far. I had them out, I think, in the first or second round. I mean, Bengals have been extremely impressive. I mean, Joe Burrow has been controlling and managing the game like a veteran instead of a second-year quarterback. I mean, it's just incredible how the Bengals just made it. And I mean, Los Angeles, I mean, they built the roster to make it, and they did make it. So now it's time to show the money, basically.
Yeah, so we've got lots to get to today. Some same-game parlays, some sides, some totals, lots of player prop bets. Where are you coming down on the more like ridiculous prop bets? Are you a fan of betting those? Anthem singers, the length, Gatorade color, some of the more ridiculous stuff out there. Where do you come down on the ridiculous prop bets that always attach themselves to the Super Bowl?
I mean, when I started betting about 10, 12 years ago, I mean, I just threw money on it because, hey, it's fun to bet on the color of the Gatorade or how long the national anthem will be. But right now, I'm swaying away from that because, I mean, it's that you can't study that really. You can't really go about the history because you have a different national anthem singer. The Gatorade is always different, but supposedly it's been blue, I believe, 5 out of the last 10 Super Bowls. So, I mean, that's a little fact that people might take into effect. Yeah,
and also a reminder, like, for those type of prop bets that we're talking about, the sillier prop bets, the color of the Gatorade on the winning coach, the markets are always capping those prop bets. It's hard. It's not like you can unload 10 G's if you have some inside information because the guy who fills the Gatorade jug, he's telling you it's going to be yellow, so unload the mortgage on the Gatorade. You know what I mean? You really, it's generally $50 to $100 in terms of capping bets. I have bet anthem singers before, and I have bet the coin flip before because it really is. It's your best odds. It's a 50-50 bet, and you get the win or the loss out of the way right away, and then you can relax, Gerry, and maybe count your money if you bet it, and you can enjoy the game. Maybe it's the smartest bet you can make is bet the coin flip.
Are you a heads or a tails type of guy?
I'm a tails type of guy.
You're a tails type of guy? Okay, yeah, me too, actually. I if I have to bet a side, it's usually tails. What? Just for giggles, I might just put it on tails, just for fun.
So let's get into some of the stuff that has intrigued us. Let's start with any advantages, any edges you see that maybe we can exploit as far as, whether we're talking about Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, individual player prop bets. Jamar Chase, no doubt, is up there. Joe Burrow, what's T. Higgins going to do? CJ Uzama, the big tight end for Joe Burrow, for the Cincinnati Bengals, he's going to be there despite he's not going to be nearly at 100%. but he's going to play. And if he wins, he might have to swim his way through a pool of Skyline chili if they win the Super Bowl bet. Some of the side action some of the Bengals players have going in Super Bowl week. But let's talk about advantages. Where are you looking at? What areas can we exploit, Gerry?
The one that I like is Joe Burrow's passing bets, basically. And the one that I like is over 24.5 for completions, or Joe Burrow to have 24.5 completions or more. I don't see the Bengals running the ball a lot because that front line will stuff Mixon. And I see a lot of short passes. I see Jamar Chase, who has 5.5 receptions right now on Mise-au-jeu, at 1.65. I think he is that go-to quick pass guy. I see Jamar Chase maybe getting 7 or 8 receptions. And I just see Joe Burrow just throwing the ball constantly. Even his pass attempts take that over. I think he'll have 40, 45. It's Bengals need to pass the ball to win against the Rams. So that's the one that I'm exploiting, is basically a lot of the passing stats that involve Joe Burrow and some of his wide receivers. You brought up T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Good old Clemson boy. I'm a big Clemson fan. He should be targeted a lot. Taj Boyd as well, too. He's a secret weapon. He's that fourth option, but he is that secret blanket or security blanket for Joe Burrow with Uzomah. But I like all the wide receivers, all 3 wide receivers. I put $5, $10. If you're betting 100, if you're saying to yourself, I have $100 to bet on the Super Bowl, put $10 on each wide receiver to get over that reception mark.
There's a small little number on the board as it pertains to Joe Burrow in this game, and that number is 12.5 rushing yards for Joe Burrow in this game. Now, look, in 19 games, Joe Burrow has rushed for at least 13 yards 3 times. So it's not, an overwhelming number, but we know this, Gerry talked about this at the beginning. Where's this game going to be won on Sunday? And I think it's going to be Joe Burrow's ability to pick up on the pass rush, to quickly adjust to it. And if it's going to be the LA Rams, I think that's where they're going to win this game. They're going to get to Joe Burrow. We saw Tennessee with their pass rush get to him 9 times in a game Joe Burrow won in these playoffs. So it's going to take one run by Joe Burrow where he's going to have to scramble. We saw his ability to move the chains when any of his 5 reads aren't available against Kansas City Chiefs. And look, I think the secondary for the LA Rams is much better than Kansas City's. So if Joe Burrow had a hard time finding his targets, remember, Jamar Chase had a 54-yard receiving game in the AFC Championship game. So the LA Rams are going to be all over all the big targets. So that leads me to think Joe Burrow, with his escapability and this guy's magic touch of making things happen, I like over 12.5 rush yards by Joe Burrow. It's going to take 1. I think he'll get it. If he can get out of the pocket in a scramble situation, Gerry, I think he gets it on just 1 run. So over 12.5, minus 114. But I really do think it's a paying bet.
I think that's a good bet too, because that might actually happen in the first or second quarter, because Rams are going to blitz him like crazy. They know that he's a young quarterback. He might be prone to make bad decisions. They'll force his hand. And I think that Joe Burrow's legs might actually help the Bengals win the game, where they'll need Joe Burrow's legs to win the game. And I like that bet as well too, to over 12.5. Anything that has to do with Joe Burrow, it seems like I'm all over it right now, because whatever he does, that's how the Bengals will win the game, basically. So if he has a bad game, Bengals are out of it.
So the line is 4.5, a total of 48.5. I mean, we haven't picked a side yet, but I'm getting the early impression that maybe you're leaning towards the points in the Bengals, if not the Bengals outright here.
I'm still on the fence in a sense, because there's still a lot of information that's when it comes to the Super Bowl, when it comes to the spread, I'm a last minute or last hour guy. I wait for the final line. As you see right now, it went down to -4, except for Mise-au-jeu. It's always 0.5, but it went down to -4, and it's been at -4.5 basically all week. So that means there's a lot of money coming on the Bengals, but they're not swaying away from that 4 number. So that means there's a lot of sharks who are betting the Rams at -4.5. So it's very interesting, because the last time in the Super Bowl that a team was favored at -4.5, it was the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. Patriots ended up winning that game, but the Seahawks could have won that game if Russell Wilson actually gave the ball to Marshawn Lynch. They wouldn't have covered, but they had a chance to win. So it's a very interesting line basically right now.
With Gerry B, the prop king, we're laying down our best bets for Super Bowl 56. Don't forget, Poutine Vaudreuil Dorion has your Super Bowl party planned for you. Call, go pick up DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever it is. And, of course, I'm getting all my snacks from K-Stop Gas Bar and Depanneur on Highway 138 in Ganawage. I'll be laid out like a king on Sunday. What time do you normally start watching Super Bowl pregame coverage?
I don't really watch it all that much, to be honest. It's too much of a show. And there's too much preparation to be done before the game as well too. If you like to bet during the game, you want to try to find that odd that just jumps out in the end, or okay, there's a mistake, or your paper news. I'll follow Twitter, I'll follow Reddit, NFL Reddit. You want to get that advantage basically.
What's your snack game going to look like on Super Bowl Sunday?
Oh, a lot of chicken.
What are you planning?
Basically, I have computers all over the place with a lot of betting sites to see the odds, to see the different odds. I don't have Don Best, which a lot of people have. Basically, it's a job in a sense. To me, I can't enjoy the game as much. I can't wait for the halftime show, though. I'm extremely excited for the halftime show, but it's basically 4 hours of sweat and trying to get in on live betting, especially as well.
Well, I think, for me, the pregame shows, like, I'm going to put the TV on, but I'm not going to be sitting there glued to the TV, with the analysis. And it's kind of, it's happy, sad. It's a Super Bowl. It's a big showcase. It's like, it's, very much America. It's grandiose. It's over the top. It's expensive. It looks shiny. But it's the last game. It's the last game until next fall, and
it's depressing.
It's happy sad. I'm like you. I'm excited about the halftime show. I hope that it just sounds good. I hope that I want it to just sound good. With Dr. Dre, Mary J. Blige, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar. I mean, it's a mega show, no doubt. I just really want it to sound good more than anything else because the songs are going to be great.
Amazing. And Sway from on a radio show in New York spoke to Dr. Dre, and even Eminem came out to say that Dr. Dre really did a good job for the halftime show. So hopefully it's not just a promo, but Eminem said that there's going to be a lot of surprises. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen. And even Eminem says he's nervous. He says it's the first time he's actually nervous to do a live show. So cool. I'm excited for the halftime show. That's cool. To me, it's the first time in a long time I'm actually excited for a halftime show.
So Gerry's given out a bunch of Joe Burrow passing prop bets over 24.5 pass attempts for Joe Burrow in Super Bowl 56. I gave you over 12.5 rush yards for Joe Burrow in this game. Based on how he played in Kansas City, based on the pass rush, based on Joe Burrow's escapability. We're going to lay a little juice for the over 12.5 rush yards for Joe Burrow. Let's try to get some of that back with a plus money prop bet concerning Matthew Stafford for me. We look at Matt Stafford, and, he's a first overall pick, went to a bad team, never really achieved any success with the Detroit Lions, ultimately leaves there. We never really, we thought about Matt Stafford as a really tough quarterback who played on a bad team. And I think if we're talking about Matt Stafford now with the LA Rams in a Super Bowl, this guy, as I mentioned on TSN 690 this week, he's playing for more than just the Super Bowl. I think he's playing for a Hall of Fame bust in Canton, Ohio. I really do. I really think, he's trying to lock down that legacy. And I love the prop bet of over under touchdown passes in this game for Matt Stafford at over 2.5. And we're getting plus 140. And so I think the Rams are going to get close to, if not the 30-point threshold in this Super Bowl. And so if they're in the 1 or 2 yard line and they're starting to pull away from Cincinnati, Matt Stafford, they're going to give it to Matt Stafford. They're going to give him cherries. They're going to at least, Gerry, give him the chance to throw the ball and complete a touchdown pass in the end zone. So it's a small risk, plus 140, over 2.5 passing touchdowns for Matt Stafford in Super Bowl 56. What else are you looking at, Gerry?
For Matt Stafford, I have him under 35.5 pass attempts, actually. And that's at the plus it's even money plus 105, or on Mise plus 185. I see him just making deep passes and maybe a couple of touchdown passes, like you say, and I like that over 2.5 as well too. But I just see the Rams really controlling the game or trying to run the ball. I mean, Sean McVay, he likes to control the game. That's why sometimes he'll have that hurry up offense, or sometimes he'll just slow down the game and just run the ball, drain the clock. I'm interested. That's why I'm interested to see the first quarter of the game.
Yeah.
But under 35.5 pass attempts for Matthew Stafford, I'm on that. And like you said, he is a 2-1 dog to be the MVP as well, too, of the Super Bowl. He is the odds favorite. He is the favorite to be the MVP. It's not a bad bet if you want to throw a little $10, $20, or 25 on him to win the MVP as well, too.
Before we get to some of the totals and the sides for Super Bowl 56 on Sunday, everyone talking about Jamar Chase, the premier wide receiver in the National Football League, the go-to target for Joe Burrow. We saw Jamar Chase having a difficult time being, the standout at Arrowhead on Sunday, where the Bengals came back and beat Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. Now he's got Jalen Ramsey talking shit all week long.
Yeah.
He knows the challenge at hand, covering Jamar Chase. It's not going to be easy. I see a total here of receiving yards for Jamar Chase on Sunday at set at over under 80.5 receiving yards. My belief is this. If Jamar Chase, Gerry, gets over 80.5 receiving yards, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh.
I really do. And I'm basically, what I'm doing is giving Sean McVay the benefit of the doubt. This is the second trip to the Super Bowl. The LA Rams are all in, especially defensively. I think this is going to be the best defense Cincinnati has faced in their run to the Super Bowl.
100%.
And if Jamar Chase had a hard time at Kansas City, I don't see him having a 100 receiving yard day in the Super Bowl, the national spotlight, all eyes on you. I hope I'm wrong, because I think we're going to see a hell of a game. But for me, 80.5 receiving yards, we're playing under Jamar Chase. Your thoughts on that, and what are you thinking about Jamar Chase's day on Sunday?
I'm happy that you brought that up, because I do see it under the 85.5 yards, but I do see him getting over 5.5 catches. I just don't think he'll have that big gain, or where you see Jamar Chase get that 50-yard pass or 60-yard pass. I think he'll get a lot of 5-yarders, a lot of 10-yarders, like just a little passes. I see him getting between 60 and 80 yards and close to that 85, but I don't see him reaching that 100-yard mark. But like you said, if he does reach that 100-yard mark, I mean, that means the Bengals have a chance. And I mean, Jalen Ramsey, he is a stud corner, but Mike Evans really took it to him when they played against the Buccaneers. And that was the one matchup I was like, you know what? Jamar Chase is not as tall as Mike Evans, but he is as agile as Mike Evans. So it's going to be a great matchup, Jalen Ramsey versus Jamar Chase, 100%.
With all the attention and the potential Super Bowl MVP love being thrown at the feet of Cooper Kupp for obvious reasons, it's going to be the marquee matchup we're all watching. Jamar Chase on one side, Cooper Kupp on the other, which leaves room for the other guys and the other reads and some of the numbers there. And one soft number on the board, I think, is 65.5, and that's the number attached to Odell Beckham Jr., who I think we've seen so far, like, watching the bubble screen passes to Odell Beckham Jr., an indication for me that they want him involved in the passing game early. They've done this. Some of the tendencies, especially when we know the attention that's going to be paid to Cooper Kupp, I think Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be left in single coverage quite a lot, and I think Matt Stafford is going to be looking for him often. And I think Odell Beckham Jr. has found peace, Gerry. Like, he was talking this week about throwing respect at Cooper Kupp, knowing that he's no longer the number one main guy. He seems to be very happy in Los Angeles. He seems to be very happy he's in a Super Bowl, and seems to be content that Cooper Kupp is the man, and that it's okay that he doesn't have to be that guy. And I think when I think about single coverage and the attention Cooper Kupp is going to get, I think Odell Beckham Jr. is going to have himself a day over 65.5 receiving yards for Odell Beckham Jr., Gerry.
He's a totally different player ever since he arrived to the Rams. I mean, at first he did bring the flair a little bit his first 2 games, but I think he noticed like, hey, I'm playing on a championship type team. I need to get my act together, get my shit together. And you saw him grow within that offense. And I mean, he has really brought it during the playoffs as well too. And I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he goes over that 65.5 yards and even get a touchdown. I mean, Stafford's getting more and more comfortable with him, and that's dangerous. Now Stafford has Odell Beckham as his second option. I mean, Odell Beckham would be a number one on what, 26, 27 other NFL teams.
Yeah.
He's a number two on the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, Stafford's a very lucky guy to have all the targets. And I mean, Cooper Kupp, what can you say about him? It's scary that you're giving Stafford and Kupp 2 weeks to watch tape of the Cincinnati Bengals. These two supposedly are in the video room at 6 a.m. watching everything. You just gave them 2 weeks. I still don't think Cincinnati will be able to stop Cooper Kupp. I see Cooper Kupp getting over 100 yards. I think right now he is slated to get 96.5.
Yeah.
And his receptions at 7.5. The record for the most catches in the Super Bowl is Deion Branch with 11 10 years ago. It wouldn't shock me if Cooper Kupp actually breaks that record.
Wow.
Imagine.
I would be shocked because one of the bets I have is under 8.5 receptions for Cooper Kupp in this game.
Oh, really?
I do. You know,
I see just giving them 2 weeks. It's like giving Bill Belichick 2 weeks. I feel like the chemistry between both of them is one of the best between a wide receiver and quarterback. That's
and also, I mean, you're giving Zach Taylor too, who I think for me is the better coach. If I had to choose between McVay and Taylor, I think I'm going to choose Taylor. You're also giving Taylor 2 weeks.
That's true.
Everybody and their mother and their sister knows who Cooper Kupp is. So, like, I'm thinking, you know, if I'm talking to you about OBJ having single coverage, that means there's 2 guys on Cooper Kupp. And if I'm thinking it's going to be blanket coverage, you can't let this guy beat you because, like I'm saying, if Jamar Chase gets over 80.5 receiving yards, if Cooper Kupp has a 100 receiving yard day, I think it's the LA Rams all day, baby. If you're letting the MVP run you over and he's hauling in and you're asking 9 catches, that's a big number for me. I'm not comfortable laying the number 8.5. So I'm going to play under 8.5 for Cooper Kupp. I mean, he's going to get his looks, obviously, but Gerry, I mean, we're talking if he can get to 9, 10 receptions over 100 receiving yards, we're talking about an all-time performance in the Super Bowl because everybody sees him coming. Everybody's preparing to stop Cooper Kupp, and he's going to bust out of that and do it. I hope I see it.
I think that's the craziest thing about Cooper Kupp. People actually do their defensive game plan or against the Rams to stop Cooper Kupp. And look at the stats that he put up. He almost put up 2,000 yards receiving. He's the best route runner. He is the smartest wide receiver in the NFL. His interviews are always intellectual. He always explains the game. He explains his route running. I think it's his mind that's better than his physical in a sense. And that's the reason why I'm taking the over. I think he's going to find the holes. He's going to find the soft spots, and he's going to find a spot where Stafford could get him the ball. And they know Cooper Kupp and Stafford, they just have this chemistry. I have never seen this between, let's say, a 16-year quarterback or a quarterback that's been in the league for more than 10 plus years with a team in his first year and having a chemistry like this with a wide receiver. It's just ridiculous. It's mind-boggling, the stats that Cooper Kupp put up. But then again, he also did the same with Calvin Johnson, right? Stafford. But I just see Cooper Kupp going off. I think he is the LA Rams. There's no doubt about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, Zach Taylor's in the room. He's like, okay, guys, let's game plan. We got to beat the Rams. Objective number 1, stop Cooper Kupp. Objective number 2, stop Cooper Kupp. Objective number 3, stop Cooper Kupp. And where he's going to get 9 catches. Ooh, it's going to be a fun game.
But that's why I think Sean McVay knows that. They know that. So Sean McVay is finding ways for that. And I think what Zach Taylor is, is the better coach than Sean McVay, but experience in the Super Bowl will have an effect on this. And your first Super Bowl as a coach will always affect you in a sense. You're nervous. Everything that you decide is on the field right now. Everything that you did all year, this is your show now. This is your showtime.
Gerry B, the Prop King. I'm Shaun Starr. Our sponsors support us and support our sponsors: Poutineville, Vaudreuil, Dorion, Ash Gregoire, Chamonix, and K-Stop, Gaspar, and Depanneur, and Highway 138 in Ganawage. A quick recap here of some of our sides and some of our bets. Our best bets for Super Bowl 56 on Sunday. I'm going over 2.5 passing touchdowns for Matt Stafford, under 80.5 receiving yards for Jamar Chase. I like the over 65.5 receiving yards for Odell Beckham Jr. Also, Joe Burrow prop bets. Gerry's all over the passing prop bets. I'm all over the rushing prop bets for Joe Burrow, over 12.5 rushing yards. And Gerry and I disagree on Cooper Kupp's game. He's going over 8.5 receptions. I'm going under 8.5 receptions. Gerry going over the 96.5 receiving yard prop bet total that's out there. I'm going to go on the underside of that. So let me get into my same game parlay. I've already given you a few different prop bets that I'm going to attach into a same game parlay. But we're going to jack it up a little bit. We're going to juice up Odell Beckham Jr. to over 80 receiving yards at plus 168. T. Higgins also over 80 receiving yards at plus 140. And the LA Rams, Gerry, I'm going to lay the 4 points, the 4.5, the 4 if Mies drops it, is what I would recommend. So that's a 3-legged same game parlay, over 80 receiving yards for OBJ, over 80 for T. Higgins, and the Rams -4 at mise au jeu. That's paying 5.66 to 1.
That's good. That $20, I think that gives you 120, 25, I believe. Yeah. So I mean, that's 5 times your money. Plus money, there's nothing wrong with plus money. If I had to do a 3-team parlay, I would do Cam Akers over 2.5 receptions he's at plus 205 on Mies. Yeah. He gets 3 catches in the first 2 quarters. I mean, I like that one a lot. I like Jamar Chase to get over 5.5 receptions. And one of my favorite bets is, I think, the MVP of the Bengals during the playoffs, McPherson.
Yeah.
Over 7.5 field goal points. It is 168. But, I mean, the guy has been... By the way, if you don't know how the field goal points works, a field goal is 3 points, so that's how a kicker gets it. He'll get 1 point for the extra point. Yeah. He kicks 2 field goals, 2 extra points. There you go. He's over 7.5. He kicks 3 field goals. He's over that 7.5.
I like
so that would be my 3-team parlay, and that's what I would go for. And if I really want to amp it up just a little bit, I'll throw in either the Rams to win between 1 and 6 points at 3.5. Or Cincy to win between 1 and 6 points at 4.1. If you think Cincinnati's going to win the game straight up, honestly, they won't blow out the Rams. They'll win by a field goal or a touchdown. Look at how every game ended for the Bengals. Was always a last play or backdoor a close cover. Game. Exactly. Yeah. So if you think the Bengals are going to win the game, I suggest to take them to win between 1 and 6 points at 4.15.
Awesome work as always, Gerry. Looking forward to Super Bowl 56.
Who's your MVP? Who would you choose as an MVP right now? Because I actually chose McPherson as an MVP. A kicker has never won an MVP in the Super Bowl.
I don't think it's going to be a quarterback either.
Donald is 16-1, and supposedly all the money is coming on him. Do you think it will be a defensive player?
I was gonna answer Aaron Donald just because of the whole legacy, just because of the storyline. How when they wrapped up the NFC Championship, NFL Films caught him on the sidelines. It's not over. 1 more game to go. I mean, this guy's so dialed in. If he can put his hands on Joe Burrow at least once, and the Rams win the game, I think not only does it carry good value, it carries value that I think is likely to actually cash. Because everyone talks about value. Oh, a value bet. Where's the value when you lose? There's no value in paying out. The value is finding he actually has a chance at winning and has value. And I think Aaron Donald checks both of those boxes for me.
Yep, 16-1. So if you put $10 on Aaron Donald to win the MVP, that's $160.
That's it. Single bet's illegal with mise au jeu now after the bill passed, right? So enjoy the game, brother. It's been fantastic. Look forward to doing this all NFL regular season next year. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, we'll be back with PGA Tour bets, March Madness bets, NBA
Masters, bets. Everything's coming.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. We're just getting going. Gerry, enjoy the Super Bowl.
You too, Shaun.
Peace.
Later.